back with another video. Hi everyone, welcome back to TKO Boxing. We are back with another video, and today we're going to be previewing the next fight camp, which of course is coming on Saturday. Guys, massive thank you to our last video. It's done really well. Thank you to everyone that's watched that. Thank you to everyone that continues to support, whether that's a like, a comment. And as usual, hit that like button now, subscribe to the channel, and also follow us on social media at TKO Boxing 2021. Right, let's move on to a fight camp. We're going to start, we're just going to go, as always, with our previews. We're just going to go through them all, talk about the fighters, what to expect. And we'll start with Akim Fiaz. Of course, unnamed opponent yet. He's had a fantastic start to his career, six wins. Josh, an unnamed opponent at the moment. So are we kind of expecting this to be, a bit of a spectacle to show off Akim Fiaz once again?
Yeah, I am, to be fair. I mean, he's 6-0. He's no knockouts to his name. Yes. He beat Kane Baker last time out for his 6th win, which, to be fair, Kane Baker, as we all know, durable opponent. And so it's a little bit of a scalp on his record, which is obviously good. But obviously his other opponents, they have got negative records. So, he is, very much a novice starting out. So I expect, he'll put on a show. We'll see some nice silky skills from him. And yeah, it'll just be a nice boost to his record, hopefully. No banana skins, and on to the next one.
Yeah, definitely. And Ben, how are you excited? How excited are you for this fighter? Do you think he's one to watch and possibly go right to the top? Or?
Well, I think so. The thing is, he's only 21 years of age with 75 amateur fights to his name. So that straight away just proves he's comfortable. I know he's not comfortable at pro yet. He's still got time to grow into that. But he's comfortable boxing. He's comfortable throwing punches, being punched. I just think he's a boxer. You won't get all these knockouts on his record, but he's going to be around for a long time, and he'll outbox a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's definitely one to watch. Of course, moving on to our next fight, Johnny Fisher. My first observation of this of Johnny Fisher was he's a big bloke, isn't he? Josh, you're quite a fan of Johnny Fisher, aren't you? Bit of a confusion with this one about the opponent. Danny Whitaker has been mentioned, who has 4 wins and 3 losses to his name, but there's also an opponent possibly mentioned. So we'll talk more about Johnny Fisher. You're a fan of him, aren't you?
No, I like the Romford Bull, yeah. Hey, look, he's a big unit, isn't he? He's a bit of a throwback fighter, very heavy-handed. It's very early days, obviously, but he's 2-0, both stoppage victories. I'm just excited to see what he can do. There is the sort of slight confusion over his opponent, but, provided it is Danny Whitaker, 4-3, it's a positive record, which you don't always see fighters jumping in with early on. And, it also suggests, he'll do the rounds, which perhaps that's what Johnny needs. He needs to, get some rounds under his belt. It's all well and good being heavy-handed, but there comes a point in your career where, you stop knocking everybody out, within the first couple of rounds, don't you? I mean, I'm not for one second saying he'll be the next Anthony Joshua, but we've all seen a different side of Joshua, haven't we, when he got up to world level and all of a sudden, you're not taking these people out. Yeah. So it's good to see him get a couple of rounds, but I do back him to get another stoppage victory. I'm a big fan of him. And I'd like to see him be a little bit more active. He's had a few months out. So I'd like to see him, get another 2 or 3 fights in this year. With this new Matchroom Design partnership, there's definitely the room for that to happen. So, yeah, be exciting to see what can happen.
And I agree. I think that's the exciting thing about this partnership, the fact that it's probably going to be good for the fighters as well. It's going to give them plenty of chance to develop. I think this fight camp's a brilliant idea as well, to showcase fighters more regularly. Ben, I mean, Johnny Fisher, are you equally a fan? And what are your opinions on him? How high up can we see him possibly go?
I think it's too early to say. Like Josh said, he's had 2 fights. He's gone in there. He's stopped him easily. You can't judge him yet. But one thing I will say, he's got a good character. You watch him in the interviews after, and he just amuses me. He's just something about him. Just seems like a nice bloke who just wants to fight. And he's confident in himself, and he goes in there to knock him out every time. And that's what you want from a heavyweight at his age.
Yeah, I think that's it, isn't it? He's going to be a bit of a fan favourite. And as you say, Josh, obviously fighting someone with a positive record, 4 wins, 3 losses. But, at the early stage, often they fight these journeymen but have got like 10 times the losses compared to the fights they've won. So, not a bad fight at all scheduled. Next, we'll move on to obviously we've got 2 women fights coming up next. Ellie Scotney starts with two wins to her name. This is going to be a 3rd fight against an unnamed opponent. Ben, what are your thoughts on this female fighter? Is she going to be one to watch? Are you a bit disappointed that the fight is yet to be named as well?
No, I expect it at this stage in their career. Like, she had 2 fights. You don't expect them to put them in with these tough challenges. I know that the women progress a lot quicker than what the men do. But I think the biggest thing I take out of this card is, I know you're not on it yet, but is Ebanie Bridges fighting someone who she's already beat. Ebanie Bridges, who just lost the world title shot against Shannon Courtenay, is fighting someone that Ellie Scott's beat in her 2nd fight. It just already proves to me the level she's going to be competing at. So
yeah, and that's a very good point, isn't it? Josh, touching on that one then, do you think that we should perhaps have seen Ellie in the ring rather than obviously Bet Connolly that's actually facing Ebanie Bridges? Would you have liked to have seen her in, or was it just way too early to put her up against obviously someone like Ebanie Bridges?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit too early for that. I mean, it's almost hard to do matchmaking in women's boxing because it's massively on the rise and it's exciting. There are a fair few women's fighters now who I think it's almost not looked at as women's boxing. It's just boxing, which is that's got to be the ultimate aim for them. But I would say the slight issue with it is there's not a great deal of journey women for these fighters to sort of build their name. I mean, you look at Ebanie Bridges' record, just to we'd probably tick both these fights off in one sort of hit. She's 5-1 with a couple of knockouts to her name, fresh off a world title fight against Shannon Courtenay, and now she's stepping back to someone who Ellie Scott has already beat. There's no mid-level to it, is what I'm probably trying to get at. And I just think Ellie Scotney, I think the Ebanie Bridges fight is something we could see in the not too distant future. But I'm pleased that she's going to, she's got another opportunity now to get a couple of rounds under her belt. And it's important to develop because what you don't want to see is them rush too soon. And, she's a really promising talent, Ellie Scotney. So I don't want to see her rushed. She takes a loss and that can almost hamper their careers, can't it? All for the sake of being patient. I think we'll see her very, very active. Matchroom, it's not just UK, is it? They do Spain, Italy, America. They're constantly announcing new partnerships. So I think we'll see her go on a little bit of a tour and really sort of build her resume up. And then the Ebanie Bridges fight is definitely one that we can see in the not too distant future.
Yeah, and moving on to the Ebanie Bridges fight. She possesses a massive following on social media. She's been in she's created the headlines at times. I wouldn't even call it controversial reasons, it's just more a matter of opinion, weren't it? She definitely knows how to grab the limelight, but at the same time, a very, very good fighter. As you say, she's won 5, only lost the 1, which was a world title fight. She shouldn't have any problem, should she, Ben, against Bet Connolly, who's only had 12. Well, she's had 12 fights, but 9 of them have been in the way of losses.
Nah, I shouldn't have an issue. She should win, but personally, I've not seen anything special from Ebanie Bridges, especially that Shannon Courtenay fight. She just got demolished. She's got a fighting spirit. The way she carried on, she could have just threw the towel in because she was hurt and she'd lost. But she carried on till the end. I just think, like Josh said, the big gap there is in women's boxing. She's gone from a good fighter she couldn't cope with. Now she's dropping way down to someone she'll probably beat easy. I don't think there's a middle ground for her. I don't think she's ever going to go forward.
I completely agree with that, and I think when Josh, when you look at obviously Ebanie's record, I mean that was only her 6th fight, wasn't it? To already be challenging her for a world title in your 6th fight, does that say a lot about we need more women boxers? We do need those middle ground people to really help their development because, as you say, Ben, but she's now dropping down to an opponent that's really not got an impressive record at all. Go on, Josh.
No, yeah, well, you're bang on, aren't you? To be fair, I mean, Shannon Courtenay, her record, you could argue, comparable to men's, she fought for a world title quite quickly. But I don't know. It's really hard, isn't it? Because you can't do down what the women are achieving as much as it's a valid point. Because at the top level, when they get there, some of the fighters are incredible. I mean, look at likes of Katie Taylor. I honestly feel like she beat many men, like upper level men boxers. There is a lot of talent there. I mean, for Ebony Bridges, I feel like it was Eddie Hearn's got her on the show because she attracts a lot of attention on social media, which always helps. That isn't, that's an active area of their business. They're trying to grow, and obviously social media is becoming such a big part of most businesses now that I feel like she's there for that. She was possibly even owed a fight from the Shannon Courtenay fight, wasn't she? Really. So I expect her to win, and I think she may end up becoming a little bit of a mainstay on Matchroom shows if she attracts the attention.
Yeah, definitely. But as Ben said, showed great fighting spirit in that world title fight. Let's move on then. Obviously, Alan Babbitt comes up against it's Mark Bennett. He comes up against. It's a bit of an even fight, isn't it? This on paper in the way of wins, both having 7 wins. The only main difference that I'm seeing is, of course, Alan Babbitt has a lot more by the way of KO. So is it going to be a case, Josh, that Alan Babbitt's, I guess, his KO, his power ability is just going to be too much for someone like Mark Bennett?
Well, the thing is with Alan Babbitt, he's almost become a little bit of a gimmick. He calls himself, obviously, he's the Savage, and his style is so entertaining. I mean, obviously, I don't know how much you've watched of him, but for anyone that has, first 4 rounds in particular, he throws punches that in the volume of like a middleweight. It's just ridiculous. He does not take his foot off the gas. Hugely entertaining fighter, obviously, hence the 7 knockouts. That's what we're here to see. Mark Bennett, it's he's durable, but he's lost to Nick Webb previously, who's also on the card, and I think Babbitt will win by knockout. I do. I think he's sort of been built into, he's part of Dylan White's management stable, and I think he's been primed for bigger things. My only reservation is with Alan Babbitt, his size. He really is effectively a blown-up cruiserweight. Which, while he's knocking out heavyweights and legitimate heavyweights, I do think when he gets to the likes of, I'd love to see him with the David Price, because although he's got, not the best chin, at the same time, Alan Babbitt being a smaller heavyweight has got to get in the inside to actually land those shots. And, if David Price turns up the one in the version that boxed Dave Allen and kept him on the end of his jab and at range, it's going to be a hard night for Alan Babbitt.
I still think he'd knock him out.
He could well do. I'm just saying that sort of needs to be the level he's looking at, and I don't know. I think he may end up coming up short against some of the bigger heavyweights.
And Ben, I guess the problem is, as Josh alluded to, he does go all in on the first few rounds. Does he run the risk that if that strategy doesn't run out, he's going to outgas himself into the later rounds? Or I mean, I suppose that's a question for not just this fight, but in general. And I'll also ask you the question: you also think Babbitt is just going to walk this one by way of KO?
Yeah, I do think I agree with Josh, going to knock him out. But I think you say, will he wear himself out in the later rounds? I just think that's his one style. He'll just walk you down, like with Josh said with Price. I mean, Price will try and use a jab, but he'll just walk through it. You watch him. If he wants to get to you, he just keeps marching his swing. Sometimes you look at him, it's like he's swimming. And he's just swinging his arms at you.
Yeah.
He's so entertaining. I love to watch him. I'm just saying what Josh said to an extent. When he comes up against the bigger heavyweights, the more experienced ones, I do wonder about him. Like, even though he has got one punch power, he overwhelms them more than anything. He'll get that many shots in. But if you've got someone who can box and move and has power back, I have to wonder where he'd stand. But entertainment-wise, he's brilliant, and he has not stopped fighting for the past 12 months. So you think his fitness, he can't be any fitter than he is now.
Yeah, a lot of fighters over the COVID period have had time off. Obviously, a lot of it not to do with their own fault, but he's definitely kept on going, hasn't he? Which is, as you say, it's probably going to play into his career very well.
Well, the interesting thing I think that you'll get with him is when he talks about his training, it's very old school. There's no modern science to it. He spars, and that's it pretty much. So, like, in terms of your fight engine, while I think obviously his engine will become a problem against a better quality of opponent, he does 4 rounds at full pelt quite comfortably, doesn't he? So, yeah, he'll definitely be fine on Saturday, and it's really exciting to see what will happen next for him. We're big fans of Dave Allen, aren't we, Ben? And I love
Dave.
Yeah, now Dave. Well, now Dave Allen's come out of retirement, as brief as it was. He returns the end of the month. I'd love to see that fight because, to be fair to Dave Allen, he goes to war as well. So I think that that's got the potential, that sort of fight of the year written all over it.
It's time for him to step up, isn't it? I just think, he's only had 7 fights, but it's time for him to step up. You will beating these by KO easy.
Yeah, he needs that next caliber of opponent, doesn't he now? Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll move on to the next fight. Fabio Wardley obviously coming up against Nick Webb. I personally only see it going one way, but Josh, what are your thoughts on this one?
It's an interesting fight. I think it's obviously it was mandated by the board. Wardley's operated at a much sort of higher caliber of opponent, in fairness. Beat Eric Molina last time out, multiple world title challenger.
But he hasn't fought Dave Allen.
But let's face it, Nick Webb got knocked the fuck out by Dave Allen. So,
that's a bit of a...
Best post-fight interview I've ever seen.
No, it was hugely entertaining, but I don't blame Wardley. When Eddie Hearn said when he made the fight, there was talk of vacating the title, and then when he said, "Well, we're not walking away from Nick Webb," so I think it's chuck it in there. I mean, in fairness to Nick Webb, he beat Eric Pfeiffer last time out. That was a massive shock. Everyone thought that was just going to be a decent fight for Pfeiffer to sort of launch his Matchroom and UK forefront career. And obviously it didn't work out like that. So, it's heavyweights, isn't it? You can always land a punch. You can always cause an upset. But I've got to be honest, I see Wardley having far too much for him.
Yeah, I think it's definitely got to be the case, isn't it? But Ben, obviously, this was a mandated fight, as Josh alluded to. Is this just going to be maybe one where Wardley just focuses on getting the rounds in before putting him to sleep in the later rounds, or do you expect him to just make a statement and get it done early?
I think make a statement and get done early. I think that's what he's going to go with. You listen to his interviews, and he just wants to put Nick Webb down. And I think if he doesn't put Nick Webb down, then be all people cropping up going, "How's he going to get to the top if he can't beat Nick Webb?" Because I'm not knocking Nick Webb, but I don't think he's operating at the same level as Wardley. And people tend to look down on him because of the route he's took to get to where he is, like the white collar route. It's very unknown. And again, he's part of Dillian White's stable. And I just think every time he gets in the ring, people turn around and say, but can he actually box? He didn't do the amateur route. And it's like, I feel a lot of those on the weekends on about Campbell Hatton. I feel he's got that over his head because he came through the white collar route. I don't think a lot of fighters respect him for it. But he's going in, he's putting performance on. Like Eric Molina, he lost a world title shot to Joshua. And he's lost some big names, and he went and he stopped him. So so far, everything that's been asked of him, he's done. I think he'll do the same, and he'll move up.
And look, they're going to have to respect him if he keeps putting them to sleep at the end of the day. They're going to have no choice but to respect him, are they?
I think that's the thing, isn't it? Whether you appreciate his route or not, it's a results business, and so far he's 11-0, so you can't really argue with it, can you?
No, exactly.
As well.
Yeah, I mean, let's move on to the big main event.
What if we didn't want to?
What's that? Sorry.
What if we didn't want to move on?
Oh, I mean, we could keep going if you want, Ben. I thought it'd come to a natural end there. But if you want to talk, maybe you want to do a 30-minute documentary on Nick Webb, I'll give you the mic. Right, moving on. We've got Kid Galahad against Jazza Dickens. 27 wins, 16 by KO for Kid Galahad. Jazza Dickens has won 30, 11 coming by KO. Kid Galahad only has the one loss to his name. Jazz Dickens has the 3 losses to his name. Josh, what do you make of this main event? Are you excited for it? It's got a lot to live up to, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has got a lot to live up to. You know, that's the great thing, but also the risk with this fight camp format. You know, last week was such a good show from top to bottom. The main event was incredible. The Chief support was even better. But I think this can actually, I think this will live up to it. I really do. You know, when it was made, I saw a little bit of criticism online. There was talk of it originally going to go on the Canelo Billy Joe card back in May. That obviously didn't happen. But I think it's a main event. And you know, it's for a vacant IBF title, which obviously we all know Josh Warrington had to vacate because they wouldn't let him go into a unification bout. And, you know, that sort of does take the shine off it because I always think, you know, really you want to beat the world champion, don't you? But, you know, we'll start with Kid Galahad. You know, he's obviously already faced Warrington. That's where his one loss came from. But, you know, he's a typical Ingle gym fighter, slick, off the back foot. And let's be honest, I know there was some complaints from the Warrington camp about a bit of roughhousing and stuff. But he gave Josh Warrington a very hard night. And, you know, there were people saying that they thought Kid Galahad actually nicked it. So he's worked himself then back into the mandatory status. Obviously, we all know what we've just alluded to with Josh Warrington. Jazza Dickens has then come in. He's on a really good run of form in fact. So when you look at his losses, he lost to Galahad back in 2013. Then he's lost to Guillermo Rigondeaux, who is probably one of the best fighters of the last 20 plus years. And then Thomas Patrick Ward, who's no slouch either. So he beat Lee Wood even last year. You know, you look, he's got an impressive resume is what I'm trying to get at. You know, it's reasons to be excited about this fight because they're both going to come into it. They're both got to be looking at this as, you know, we really need to win a world title here. Obviously, you're always going to be motivated for it. But if they lose, you know, are you going to get the opportunity again? You don't know. This is a chance. And, you know, Lee Wood blew the featherweight division wide open last Saturday.
He did.
If I'm Kid Galahad or Jazza Dickens, I'm looking at this division now and thinking, hang on, this is my time. Win on Saturday. You know, you could get Lee Wood, unification, Josh Warrington, super fight, provided he beats Lara. You know, Kanju's there. You know, this is Leo Santa Cruz. This is an active division, and this is a chance to make yourself a really big name and go and get the statement fights, the statement purses, and leave a legacy in the sport. I don't see what's not to like about this fight. I'm really excited about it, genuinely.
And Josh, if I push you I'm going to push you for a prediction here. What's going to happen? Who's going to take the win?
I'm a fan of Jazza Dickens, but I think Kid Galahad will just have too much. He's that little bit fresher, and I think he'll go. I don't think it'll be a stoppage. I think it'll be points, but I think he'll just have that little bit too much. But it's going to be a back and forth, entertaining fight.
Ben, are you going to go against Josh, or are you going to agree with his prediction? What are you going to go for?
No, I'm getting annoyed at this now. Every time I agree with Josh's prediction, you go to him first, and it looks like I'm copying him. Well, I do agree with what Josh is saying, but I don't know why I've just got this niggling feeling in the back of my head. It could be a draw. No one wants to see a draw. No one even predicts draws in boxing because it's unlikely, but I've got a feeling I could cancel each other. I think it'll be a good fight. They'll both leave it out there, but by the end of it, I think you'll struggle to pick a winner.
I mean, it depends on the spectacle, doesn't it? I think it's one of those. If we see a really entertaining main event, I think everyone will be going, let's have a draw and let's see this again later on in the year.
I think the thing with Dickens, though, because of the weekend, his win against Lee Wood has now become his biggest win. Whereas at the time, he's got some decent wins to his name, but he can turn around and say, I've already beat him once, I want him again. If he wins, even if he loses, he might still be able to get that fight because depending on what Lee Wood's like, he might think for a defence, that's right or wrong. Yeah. So like I've said, it's such an entertaining division at the moment, and I think everyone's capable of beating everyone, especially after Warrington in his last fight. So for that, I'm just thinking it's going to be a good fight.
It's Eddie Hearn you've got to feel sorry for, isn't it? He was trying desperately to make the Warrington Kanju unification. Couldn't quite make it, so gives Warrington a homecoming. He gets sparked out. And obviously gives Kanju a warm-up fight, and it goes wrong for him there as well. But I mean, we know Eddie. I'm sure he'll still turn it round to his advantage. But yeah, it did crap me up that when you think about it.
I think that'll be entertaining, won't it? If we see obviously Lee Wood getting called out after his win on Saturday. who knows? Maybe even Eddie will have him in the audience somewhere to step in the ring and square up to whoever gets the win, just to have that. Have that entertainment edge to it. But we'll see on that one. Well, I think that's it, isn't it, for this video? Guys, let us know about your predictions, what you think. Are you impressed with the card? And more importantly, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Guys, any final thoughts?
No, just really excited for it. And, there's been a lot of talk about this being the worst card or, weakest card of Fight Camp. And, obviously it's not got the big names throughout it, but I'm really excited about it, particularly the 2 heavyweight fights and obviously the main event. Yeah,
definitely. Ben, anything to add? Ben, I should ask you.
Last again. No.
You just didn't jump in. You didn't jump in quick enough.
No, I agree with Josh, with what he said again. But it's even though they're not the strongest cards, I think the main event's the only 50-50 fight in my eyes. I think all the others, we all know who's going to win, but they could have good endings. I think they could all have something that just sticks in your mind. It could be a first round knockout in the Wardley one, but I think it could be a knockout to remember. So I think for that reason, it's going to be a good weekend, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. I think it will be a good Fight Camp. And as always, we'll be doing our reaction to it the day after. And yeah, make sure.
Oh, no. That's where you're wrong,
Come
Scott.
on.
You might be going off on your little holidays again because you can't handle your drink. But we'll be doing the reaction straight after the fights on Saturday night.
Possibly with a special guest.
Yes, so we might have a guest on as well.
Well, there we go. I'll be off on my holiday. I'll be having a nice time. These guys will be covering the reaction, and well, I won't see you on the next one, but these two will. So yeah, hit that sub button.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.